on the other hand, a land use could, let me see, a land cover also could be many uses. A building can be different kind of use. So the relationship between land use and the land cover is many to many. One land cover could correspond to many land use, and one land use can correspond to many land covers. Okay, there's many to many. Okay. Okay, that's my definition about land use and the land cover. But many scholars they define these two terms in different ways. They always say, okay, nature since is land cover, man-made is land use. But it's actually, from my point of view, it's very difficult. For example, the 溪头, man-made, the 溪头 is NTU as a forest, but it's man-made forest. It's not nature. 对不对？什么叫做人造？对不对？你怎么知道人造？你看到这树啊，在溪头你看到树，但是它是人工的，它不是自然的。所以一般很多书哈都讲 land use 跟 land cover。land use 是谈到人类的活动，好，人类活动产生叫做 the land use。Well, many scholars mention that land use was created by human activities. I just mentioned, okay, the forest could be maintained by the or growth by the human, just like NTU forest.
And even there would be largest canals or somewhere in a big excavation or projects. A big land will be covered with be marked and painted.
So when you mention the national park, is it natural or not? Well, it's mixed, right? Okay, that's the concept of land use and the land cover.
Your concept is quite clear.
Okay. Another concept about the entity, object, primitive, and the feature. Okay, right now, actually, the definition of these terms, is standardized right now, according to some international standards. The international standards also define the terms. Okay, so here, entity mention about the object on the physical world. 就是说，我们说桌子，这个是 entity. In the physical world, in the real world, it's entity. But the object is the data describe an entity. That's object. Here, in this very particular domain, when we mention the object, actually we mention that data is not on the real world. So when we use entity, object, primitive, feature together, when you mention this one, that object is referred to the data. Okay?
Describe entity.
It
Refer to the data to describe the entity.
To describe entity, yes. So this one is a chair and the table is entity. But on the database, we have a rectangle to represent the table. Then the rectangle is the object.
It's height or maybe it's other dimensions.
Yes, yes. And the object can be composed of many primitives. Primitive is the basic element. You cannot divide it further. So just like a point, line, area, or arc. Yeah. So, well, for example, in any particular GIS, any software, they have some primitives, just like atom， 就像原子一样，原子的概念就是不能再分割的。所以我们用 AutoCAD， 你不能说用，就是AutoCAD 里面很基本的那些指令，比如可以让你画点、线、面，那个就是 primitives， 就是最基本的元素。A software give you some primitive. That's most elementary element. You use this primitive to build up sophisticated objects. Okay. Feature means well, it's a partial component. Okay. So sometimes use feature, some don't use feature, or some paper just feature is equivalent to a primitive. Okay. Feature sometimes say, okay, let me see. For the National Taiwan University, it could be an object. There are many buildings, or a building. For this building, could be many squares or circles to compose as a feature. And the square, the circle is primitives. 所以那个 primitive 是最基本的东西 ，feature 呢是它兜出来的一些局部的构件。好，当然也跟那个构建如果很简单，就是 object itself。所以像有中庭的建筑物，这建筑物是一个构件，那它的外框跟内框，那分别就是两个图征，就外框跟内框。外框是一个图征，是一个 feature， 内框也是一个 feature， 所以这两个 feature 构成一个 object。So we mentioned about well, a building with a coat. So you have an external and internal boundary, right? It's a coat. So you have an external boundary and an internal boundary. The external boundary and the internal boundary are features. So you have two features and one object. Object is a building. One object is a building, and you have an external and internal features, boundaries as features. And these features are composed by lines, polylines. Line is primitives. Yes. So that's the best idea. Okay? However, I mentioned here, object-oriented is another concept. Actually, you can use a simple object to compose them to become a very complicated or complex object. Okay, so you can build up individual buildings for a simple object, then become a community, become a city or a region. So you can use the object-oriented method or approach to build up a complicated object from a very simple object. Okay, it's entity, object, primitive, and features. When you use some, well, if you are surveying, you are in some paper talking about